Hello and welcome to today's episode of Thrive After 45. I'm Denise Drinkwalter, heart whisperer, midlife mirror, and mentor. And every week, I am absolutely honored to share energy and space with inspiring guests whose stories reflect so many possibilities of thriving beyond 45. And together, we'll uncover the whispers of the heart, the power of midlife transformation, and the wisdom that fuels expansion. What becomes possible when a woman knows she has more to give, but the world hasn't quite made space for her yet, and she decides to lead anyway? It is such an honor and a privilege to welcome Heidi Solomon-Orlick to the show today. Heidi brings nearly 4 decades of experience across advertising, marketing, and professional sales, where she spent 35 years consistently ranking in the top 1% of performers, often as the only woman in the room in a male dominated industry. What makes her story powerful isn't just what she has achieved, it's what she chose to do with that experience. As the founder and CEO of Girls Who Sell, Heidi is focused on expanding access and opportunity, positioning professional sales as a path to economic independence, especially for young women from underrepresented communities. She is also an award-winning author who fulfilled a lifelong dream later in life, proving it is never too late. Her book, Heels to Deals, was released in 2022, followed by her children's book, I Have a Voice, a Book of Listening, which has won 3 literacy awards, and her second children's book, Just a Dot, I Think Not, has just been released. Across her career, Heidi has helped create thousands of jobs globally, mentored hundreds of professionals, and reached tens of thousands through her work, books, and global platforms. Today, we're going to explore voice, leadership, and what happens when women stop waiting for permission and start building what's been missing. Heidi, I can't wait to have this conversation today. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh, that was such an incredible introduction. Who is that person?
Oh,
I
yes,
don't
you
know.
do.
My job is done here.
Oh, you
Thank
know
you.
what we talk about here is there is no finish line, right?
That is true. I
Yeah.
I am 100% in agreement with that. You set your own boundaries
It's so true, isn't it?
and your own limitations. So if you decide that that's not um that you want to expand that and
Yeah.
have an expansionism mentality, I
Yep.
think it can change the course of your life.
Yeah. Tell us how that happened for you.
Oh, wow. Well, it's been a long journey.
Yeah.
It would be a really long call if I went into all of the detail behind it. But as you mentioned, I started my career in advertising and marketing,
Mhm.
working for different ad agencies in California. I thought I was really hot stuff. At 22, in 23, I was doing all the marketing for Princess and P&O Cruises, and I was traveling the world. And I was working on some really big brands, making a lot of money, especially for my age back then.
Mhm.
That was what, early 1980s. Wow, that seems crazy to me. But anyway, early 1980s. And, those were the days of three martini lunches and, definitely the ad agency business as well was very male dominated at that time, still is, quite frankly.
Right. Right.
And, by 30, I had completely burned out.
Mm.
I was, um, I was living the LA, lifestyle, really active in the LA scene. I had burned through three engagements, and at 30, I was just like, I cannot continue down this path
Mm-hmm.
because it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
And so I exited with no plan, and I ended up bumping into someone that I had met during college who had started a telemarketing company. And I bumped into him at lunch, and he said, what are you up to? And I said, well, let's see, I'm 30, I'm unmarried, I have no job, and absolutely no idea what my future holds. But other than that, things are awesome, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
the happiest I've ever been in my life. And he's like, great, be in my office on Monday. I'd like you to come in and be my vice president of sales with your advertising and marketing and direct marketing background. I think you'd be perfect. And I said, well, I don't know anything about the telemarketing industry. And he said, none of us do. We're figuring it out every single day. And so that was the beginning of my 3.5 decade career in what proved to be in the business process outsourcing industry, which is, the fancy name of what it's called today versus telemarketing, which has a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really successful. At first, I really tried to be one of the boys because
Mm-hmm.
it was all men. And so
Yeah.
I really thought to succeed that I had to be one of the boys. And I quickly learned that my competitive differentiator was actually being a woman, and that my innate skills as a female was what would truly make me successful. I had no desire to one, hopefully, but sleep my way to the top.
Yeah. Yep.
To, deals were getting made on the golf course. I had no desire to learn how to play golf. I sucked at it
Yeah.
anyway. And I just leaned into, I have to focus on building relationships
Mm.
and learning my business and having the skill to be able to talk to the CEO of a company all the way to, a manager level person who's very tactical, right? From tactical to strategic.
Mm-hmm.
And it paid off. And for 35 years, I was by far, in the top 1% of my industry.
Mm-hmm.
And until 2019. And then I'll pause because I'm sure I know I'm
No,
talking a
keep
lot,
going.
but
No,
you want me
keep
to keep
going.
going? Okay. So
Yes.
until 2019,
Yeah.
uh, when both of my parents passed away,
Ah.
and I was 60, I turned 60, and my mom died by suicide, and my dad died 10 days later of pancreatic cancer. He had been diagnosed 6 months before, and he had a you know, just a really fast decline. And I think
Yeah.
that was part of my mom's depression and the reason that she took her own life.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I can talk about this now. It's been
Yeah.
what, 6 years, and
Right.
but it was a very difficult time in my life, and it really caused me to pause and to
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what, I'm 60 years old. What does the back half of my life look like? And what can I do to leverage my expertise and to um, to leave a legacy and to leave a world that's better than how I found it. And that became my mindset, that I shifted, you know, to it's all about giving back. And Girls Who Sell was born out of that,
Okay.
with the desire to play a small part in solving for a very big problem, which is the lack of diversity in professional sales. Even, I started in 1980, even all the way to 2019. It was, there was still
Yeah.
uh, only 35% women. And then if you looked at women of color, the numbers were just dismal.
Yeah.
And so that's why Girls Who Sell was born, was an opportunity to leverage my expertise. I think sales gets a bad rap,
Hmm.
and it's not the first thing that women think of when they think of a career. But it's a great career to be able to, sort of control your own destiny, and so yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why Girls Who Sell was born.
So thank you so much for the depth of which you shared your where you are today, because there are a number of pieces within what you shared that are so resonant for our listeners. One specifically being a catalyst that helped you put a mirror in front and go, how can I do what I need and want to do? Because I only have a finite amount of time left. And when I look
Yeah,
at, right? And our audience is listening, going, hands up, that's me, right? We all have a finite time, but when you hit certain ages and stages in life, it really comes to the surface, bubbling up bigger than it ever did, right?
yeah.
So losing your parents was a very big catalyst. What I love about what you do, and I'd love to speak more around this, is why do we not, as a society, see the benefit of sales? Why is it such a, oh God, I have to do sales? When you know on the other side, I'm sure you think this. I don't know. I'm going to tease a little bit here, but everybody is selling all the time, no matter what you're doing. We're always selling, right? It's just who,
100%.
right? And so how do we change that whole mindset around sales? Like, you're doing Girls Who Sell for a great reason, but even the title, it's like, why should we have to promote that girls sell? Everybody's selling. So help me understand, or help us understand that a bit better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so first of all, I agree. Sales is a life skill. So even if, and I say this to our students all the time, even
Mhm.
if you don't end up being, a bag carrying salesperson,
Yep.
you're always selling. You're
Mhm.
always selling, whether you're selling an idea or a budget, or, with your partner where you want to go to dinner, or,
Right?
3-year-old that they, have to clean their room, or, they have to do their homework, or I mean, I kind of
Yep.
say it lightheartedly, but sales is a big part of our life, and we need, and I think it's a skill that everyone should learn,
Hmm.
whether they turn it into a career or not. So that's the
Right.
first thing. I think that sales has gotten a bad rap just because of the media. When you think of Wolf of Wall Street, and you think of, just the way sales is positioned overall, used car sales people,
Yep.
everyone, so many people have had bad sales experiences
Yep.
that they're like, ooh, I can't even imagine getting up every day and doing that as my career.
Right.
But what's interesting is that sales is actually not anything like the way it is portrayed. Now,
Yeah.
early on in my career, yeah, was it a whole used car salesman? Yeah, but that's how I differentiated myself, as I
Mm.
earlier. And what I, when we work with our students, or when I'm mentoring
Hmm.
other young women, even outside of the Girls Who Sell program, it's really about, um, you know, it's about building relationships. It's
Yes,
about
there.
problem solving. It's about, and so. you start to reframe and shift the mindset of what sales, what you think sales is, then versus what sales actually is. And once we do that, once we start saying, and then I hear, okay, well, yeah, it's, it sounds like I could do that, right? Like I'm a relationship person. I can build, I love solving problems. I love creating solutions. I can do all of that. But then it's like, well, I don't necessarily have the confidence, or,
Right.
gee, I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert, or I'm painfully shy. I
Hmm.
can't be in sales.
Hmm.
And to me, I mean, then we also have a mindset shift conversation around, no, that's your superpower, right? Some of the
Right.
best salespeople I know are introverts, and
Yeah.
that makes them really good listeners, and that makes
Yes.
them really good problem solvers. And so they're like, oh, okay, I can do this. And then, the other thing that compounds the issue is when you look at, particularly for early stage careers. I mean, one, sales until recently, and even now, not on a large scale, is something that's taught in schools. I mean, there's several colleges and university that have sales programs, but that's relatively new.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I don't know the exact year, but I would say within the last 10 years, that's
Yep.
something that maybe it's come. Entrepreneurship is
Huge.
beginning to be covered, but I'm going to tell you that you can be an entrepreneur, but if you don't know how to sell, you're
Right.
going to fail.
Hmm.
You just will. You
Hmm.
can have a great idea or a great product or service, but if you don't know how to sell it
Yep.
or how to market it,
Yep.
it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to succeed on a large scale.
Right.
So, I mean, in answer to your question, one, I don't think the media has helped. Two,
Yeah.
I think because the field has been so male dominated that women just don't think of themselves in sales. The good news is that, and that when they do think of themselves in sales, they have a confidence issue. They don't
Hmm.
apply unless they meet 100% of the qualifications, on the job description. And then when they get into it, their companies don't do a great job
Right.
of training and educating and career pathing. And so they're
Right.
just like, forget about it. But I'll tell you, when you look at the C-suite, um, second to finance, sales is the number one profession of women who go into the C-suite as a way to work their way up the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We need to change perception,
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
what we do. And thankfully,
Yeah.
there's a lot of great people out there today and other good organizations that are out there doing it.
Do you find that a lot of your clients are through the entrepreneur lens specifically, or does it
Only
mix?
recently have I started to play that angle.
Okay.
I've done some volunteer work with Nifty, and which actually is starting to have conversations even younger, like in middle school and high school. Even though Girls Who Sell was initially targeted towards college age women and early college graduates, then
Hmm.
we started to get some interest from high school, so we started to go younger. But now I'm, seeing a lot of these entrepreneurship programs emerge, even at the middle school level. What I'm finding is that there's a lot of interest in partnerships for companies like mine, or just someone with my expertise to come in and teach
Hmm.
their students sales skills.
Right.
So it like Nifty as an example, they put 1 million kids through their programs, men and women,
Hmm.
but they teach them how to start a business, how to write a business plan, how to do some marketing, how to price your product and service, all the things that are fundamental to figuring out, that an entrepreneur needs to know. What
Right.
they The big gap I found, and it's not just with them, but a lot of the colleges and other programs that are entrepreneurship oriented is
Hmm.
they don't teach sales. It's just like, how can you not teach sales? So they're like, well, come on in and help our students
Right.
now that they have their business plan together, figure out how to go to market and how to sell it.
Right.
So
Right.
that's where it's, but for me, that's been a relatively new
New. Hmm.
phenomenon, but something that I'm definitely going to expand because I think there's a natural marriage between sales and entrepreneurship.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the women that we support through Thrive After 45 and
Hmm.
my work in particular, we are supporting women who are in the throes of transition for a variety of reasons. And there's a buzz about right now, and rightly so, because women who are being inched out of their current positions for a variety of reasons um, are trying, okay, now what do I do? I have all these skills. Very similar to your conversation earlier about how you know what skills do I have and what can I put myself through in terms of what's possible for me as I move ahead instead of just being at somebody else's beck and call and being like, okay, I'll go and do a grocery line. Not that that's a bad deal, but if you're not, that's not where your skill set lies. You want to make sure that you use all the capacity you've built up over the years. So I can see
Yeah.
that being, really important for our listeners to understand that whole big ball of wax that's behind. Yes, I've got to go out and start to do something for myself. What do I do and how do I do it? Right?
Yeah, career transition um is a really interesting niche. I've been encouraged to do some consulting work in that
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And I've mentored a lot of people, but I haven't done anything formal necessarily. But
Sure.
I think there's a huge market, particularly like you said. And listen, I was aged out of my job 3 years ago. The thing that I did that may
Yeah.
resonate with your listeners is
Yeah.
that I started Girls Who Sell as a part-time side hustle. So I think a lot of times the mindset is, oh, it's all or nothing. And
Yes.
I don't think it has to be an all or nothing black or white conversation. I think that for me, it was really great that I started Girls Who Sell on a part-time basis, and I was
Mm.
using my corporate salary and my commissions to
Right.
basically self-fund the business.
Yeah.
But I wasn't feeling, and now I know this isn't going to work for everybody,
Of
but what I
course.
wasn't feeling that financial pressure.
Yeah.
Then when I got laid off, now let me tell you, when I was let go of corporate 3 years ago, I was devastated,
Yeah, of course.
absolutely devastated.
Yeah.
I went through a complete identity crisis. Even though I had Girls Who Sell on the side, I had no idea who I was outside of my
Mm.
corporate persona. I had done it my whole life. I mean, I had been working since I was 15 years old. Um, and so for
Yeah.
me, it was the kind of the opposite shift because I knew how to sell.
Hmm.
What I didn't know is how to be an entrepreneur. And so that was kind of a opposite chip for me is that I had to go through a very steep learning curve because running a part-time side hustle is very different than
Oh, yeah.
running a full-time business.
Right.
And so that was a shift for me.
Hmm.
But it took about a year for me to really figure it out. And I had to
Hmm.
do a lot of soul searching. I went to spiritual retreats. I went back and got a lot of training. I believe
Yeah.
in being a lifelong learner anyway.
Yes.
And then surrounding myself with people, my personal board of directors, and just experts,
Yeah.
and bringing them in and saying, you know what, I'm not good at everything, particularly as I'm playing this new role as CEO, consultant, business owner, whatever.
Yeah.
And bringing in people strategically to, uh, to support me in the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
I think the biggest, and this kind of goes into my children's books, but
Yeah.
so that was okay. Now I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I remember the first time, Denise, when somebody said, "What do you do?" And I completely froze. I'm like,
Froze.
"Shoot, I don't know what I do. What do I do?"
Yeah.
Shoot, oh, I have no idea. And I'm like, I'm a I'm an entrepreneur, and that was like this complete
Yeah.
mind blown. Like, oh, I am an entrepreneur.
There it
Wow. Okay,
is.
there it is.
Spoken out loud. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh
I
my
love it.
gosh, I'm an entrepreneur. And then the same thing happened with author, but I had signed up for a course with Jack Canfield. I don't know if
Yep.
you know who
Yep.
he is. He wrote the
Chicken soup.
whole Chicken Soup for the Soul series,
Hmm.
and I've always been a fan. His books played a very big part of my spiritual journey, early on in my life, um, and I had signed up for his program called Reignite Your Life. This was after I was laid off, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well that sounds like something I should do. That sounds like something I have to do.
Yeah.
To figure it out. And it was it was what was so great about that program is he said the biggest mistake people make quite often is they have shiny object syndrome, right? Like you have all
Mm.
this expertise, especially women our age, and you've done
Yep.
so much in your life, and you're like, well, maybe I could do this or I could do that, and then you try to do it all, and
Everything.
nothing you stretch yourself and nothing works. And
Hmm.
so he said, in this 3-month program, not that you don't have other goals, but I want you to pick one goal,
Mm.
just one thing.
Hmm.
And we are going to put a plan together on how to make that work. So between today, kickoff, and
Hmm.
3 months from
Hmm.
now,
Hmm.
um, you will have achieved that. One goal? Oh my God. I don't think I've ever had one goal in my life.
Right?
Okay, how do I pick one goal? I have so many things
Hmm.
I want to do and I want to accomplish. And I was like, you know what? I had already published Heels to Deals. I had already been a co-author in Upward Leadership Lessons for Women on the Rise with Bridget McGowan and Simone Morris. But I had always wanted to be a children's book author. Always. It's something that I
Mm.
wanted to
Yep.
do.
Yep.
And I said, you know what? That's my goal is I have no idea how to do it. I don't have a children's book written. I
Yep.
know nothing about publishing or self-publishing or hybrid publishing. I know nothing
Nah.
about this, but I'm gonna do this.
Hmm.
And that was it. And I have a voice book listening was literally channeled. And this might resonate because, in our
Hmm.
generation, children, but especially girls, were meant to be seen and not
Yeah.
heard.
Totally.
And right.
Hmm. Hmm.
And with a lot of the DE&I programs getting rolled back and defunded, I felt like it was not only my calling, but my responsibility to
Hmm.
start facilitating some conversations just with the craziness that was going on in the
Yeah.
world, but to start facilitating these really important conversations at home and in the schools. I
Yeah.
have voice of book of listening was literally channeled. I dreamed it.
I
I
love it.
woke up the next
Hmm.
morning and I got my notes and I wrote the whole book. And I made maybe one minor tweak from the first time that I wrote it. And I then Jack's program, like I figured
Yep.
out like how to get it published and what to do and what's my budget and the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it really is geared towards kids 4 to 9, and teaches them how to identify, honor, and listen to their inner voice.
Mm.
and encourages them to use their voice for good in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and to give a voice to others that might not have the
Uh-huh.
same level of privilege.
Yeah.
And to me, that was, I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was part of my legacy. It was just what
Mm-hmm.
I had to do. It was just my calling
Yeah.
and my responsibility to publish that book. It
Yeah.
had to be out in the world.
Yep. It's
And
just,
that was,
yeah,
yeah,
no questions asked. It's this is happening, right? This
this
is
is
happening.
happening.
This is what's going on, and this
And
is
I'm going to
how
make it
I
happen.
figure
And
out
that,
how to. Hmm. Yeah.
going to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And and then, my second book, Just a Dot, I think not a book of connection, is was just released.
Love that.
And I created a character called Dottie, and her life's mission is to connect the world.
Mm.
And so she builds bridges across diverse communities. You will probably most likely, I'll have to send you a copy or you can get a copy, but
Yeah.
end up on the banned book list. But it is, you can't do, in my personal opinion,
Yep.
create a book about diversity and about the power of community without including everybody. It's not like,
Yep.
well, except for the people over there. So everybody's represented in this
Love
book.
that.
And it really
Nice.
pushes boundaries. And then my third book, which will be released in Q1, probably May timeframe, actually, May, June timeframe, is called More Than Pretty, a book of inner beauty. And that's really going to be geared towards young girls,
Mm-hmm.
because there's
Mm.
so much peer pressure and,
Oh,
you know, to look pretty
yep.
and it's great to be pretty, but it's really what's
Yeah.
inside that matters, and what's in your heart. And
Yeah.
so giving girls permission to be
To be.
smart and courageous and unapologetically um uh, successful, right? Like, so
Yeah.
that's what that book's
You
about.
know,
So I think you can see the theme.
when you're sharing that last component, what's coming back to me is what you shared at the very beginning when you talked about you realized your power was being who you really were,
Right.
right? So to me, thank you for putting this in the hands of young women who get to understand the wisdom that you have experienced over time and what you've been able to accomplish as a result of being your full self. And I love that you are, I think that's why we connected, because lifelong learning
Yeah.
is what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
For me too. Like, I will stop learning at my last breath. That's my hope and wish. I do have a question that this has been so powerful. You've been talking a bit about legacy. What
Yeah.
does legacy, succession, what does that mean to you?
So I'm going to answer that in two parts. One is just success, like the definition of success. I think as I've gotten older,
Mm-hmm.
my definition of success has definitely morphed and definitely changed.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think it was about, having the house and the car and the money, the financial, and all of that.
Yeah.
And what I've what I've realized is that um, true success
Yeah.
comes from um, comes when you let go
Mm.
of parental and societal expectations and you find your true life's purpose.
Mm.
And it's not necessarily about money at all.
Mm-hmm.
Although money might come,
Right.
uh, because you're actually following you're actually doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
But um, it's so that's been a big mindset shift for me as I've gotten older,
Hmm.
especially in my 60s,
Yeah.
is it's not about something external, it's that internal shift.
Yeah.
And that's actually a bit of what my TEDx talk is going to be this year, is sort of the process of
Yes.
from that external to internal
Mm,
shift and how to redefine success for yourself. So
love that.
that's one thing. And legacy for me
Hmm.
is, of course, my kids and my grandkids, like that's the traditional definition of legacy. But for me, legacy, I think it's knowing that my life mattered and that that my life's work
Hmm.
has a ripple effect. You asked
Mm.
in your questions, like how many people have you,
Right.
impacted? Well, I don't even know how to put a number to that. I mean, I know in my
Yeah.
career it's been thousands and thousands of people, but how do you actually measure the ripple effect of, I sold a deal, I created hundreds of jobs on this particular deal,
Yeah.
who in, you know, India and Philippines and
Yeah.
Caribbean, Latin America and Asia and like all over the world, Denise. I have traveled all over the world,
Hmm.
and created thousands of that and thousands of jobs. So to me, that's legacy, right? Like it's bigger than me, it is far beyond me. My books are going to live, my children's books are going to
Yes.
live far beyond my
Yes.
last breath on earth. And that's legacy, is to know that, that my life mattered.
Right. Right.
Of
And I'm going to pull it a little bit further if you're okay with this, but from my
course.
perspective in terms of what I'm hearing, it isn't about you, it's about the impact. Your
Yes.
legacy is the book that you've created that will be continually being published, shared, and read, helping those who are accessing those words on the page, shifting something inside of them. That's the legacy piece that you're talking about. Not necessarily the numbers but it's that impact you're making one at a time and then that ripple effect. Like you say, it's hard to tell what my numbers are actually, Denise. And I'm like, I totally get it. Some people are like, I don't want to even give you a number. I give, just for the audience, I give 6 questions to help me create an introduction. And one of those is what's been your impact? How many people have you impacted with your work? And many people are like, I can't tell you that. And I totally get what you're saying. But I love, Heidi, what you do, your energy, your expression, your passion is huge. And I think that's what exudes. I get to have an opportunity to see you visually because this goes on to YouTube as well. So if you are visual consumers, go to my YouTube channel and watch the expressions and the energy that's exuding from Heidi as she shares her incredible work with us today. Is there
Well, you
anything,
know what
yeah,
just if I could just add one thing, but
yes,
just to that point, because
yeah,
what I love is a mom is going to read,
yeah,
my book to her daughter or son, but let's
hmm,
say daughter in this
hmm,
example.
yeah,
Um, that is going to shift the thinking of that little girl, who then is going to bring her children up differently. And
yes,
so it's this whole idea of if you can change one person's mind, if you can make that shift, that it can literally change the world. If we all woke up every single morning thinking about how to make the world a better place, and if that we could positively impact at least one person today in a positive way, think of the ripple effect of that. I'll tell you, my dad, not to take us down a rabbit hole, but it plays into the conversation.
Mm,
My dad was a traditional sales guy. He was an
hmm
entrepreneur, but he was a master storyteller. And he was on the road all the time.
hmm
But when he was home, he would tuck me in at night and he would tell me stories and he'd make up these stories about a family of elephants, Mumbo, Jumbo, and Dumbo. And Dumbo was this really precocious little girl elephant that was always getting herself into trouble. And he would create these stories, and then we would co-create solutions. Now, think about
mm,
this from a kind of a legacy perspective. So he'd be like, wow, Heidi, Dumbo, found herself, she's in trouble. What do you think? How can she get herself out of this
yeah.
situation? And in the end, it was problem solving, it was solutioning. It's everything that sales is all about, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think that was intentional. It fundamentally framed, my sales skills.
Mm,
It also instilled a passion for storytelling, which
hmm
is what sales is, but now is manifesting itself in my children's books.
Right.
Now, the wonderful thing about it is that he also told those stories to my kids, his grandkids.
Mm, hmm
And my son just published a children's book. I'm going to
Aw.
cry, but Mumbo, Jumbo, and Dumbo.
Oh,
And
Heidi.
so and so when you sort of think about legacy and the long-term
Yeah.
impact, um, it's
Hmm.
it's great. And guess what? Now my son, who just had his baby, who's our first grandbaby, is
hmm
telling already at 8 months old, telling him Mumbo Jumbo Dumbo stories.
Cool.
So that's
Beautiful.
legacy.
Oh, thank you for putting that together. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah, sure is. And like you say, did he do it for the impact? No, because he did it because that's who he was. He was
Yeah,
being 1000% himself. And what he got from it, I'm sure, was tenfold when he heard your solutions. Like, I'm sure it just, and look at what's happening as a result. How beautiful. Oh, Heidi,
yeah.
thank you for sharing that. Oh,
Look.
yeah.
Yeah, he was
Wow.
a pretty extraordinary guy.
And
No.
so is her daughter, his daughter, right?
Oh, well, thank you.
Look what happens,
I think he'd
right?
be pretty proud to see the children's books because he
Oh,
knew
yeah.
that that was always a long term goal.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
it just to you said in your introduction, it really
Yeah.
shows in the message I want everybody to know is
Yeah.
that you don't have to have all the
Yeah.
answers. You don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
Just uh, but it is never too
Yeah.
late. I mean,
No.
I published my first children's book at 65
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah.
okay, it took a little while, a little longer than I expected, but I did it.
hmm
And if you're
hmm
listening to this right now,
Yeah.
you can do it too.
Yeah. 1000%. And here's the piece. Do it for you, by you, because of you. Earlier
Yes,
on, you talked about that external, and now you've understand the power of being the internal.
right.
And people who listen to the show are absolutely digging into deeper understanding of what that can be for them. So
Yeah,
there's no other course of action if you want to be true to yourself and really learn more about who you are. So our goal in this conversation and all of the conversations that thrive after 45 are with the understanding that you have the power and the capacity to be able to do whatever your true heart desires. Just like Heidi
yeah.
said.
And to me, it's about authenticity because at the
Totally.
end of the day,
Mhm.
success without
Mm,
authenticity is its own kind of failure.
thank you for that. That's a great, great quote that we will use. I love it. Oh dear, this has been a phenomenal conversation, which I knew it would be, but it always comes out way better than I ever imagined because people that I get to share a space with here are so incredible. And Heidi, you are no exception to that. So thank you so much for your time, energy, and voice on our show today. As always, we will have all of her information in the show notes so you can find Heidi and follow her and connect with her. And before we close, I do want to share something very gently with everyone. I am currently stewarding the early formation of a live in person experience called Ignite the Inner Uprising. It's being created for women in midlife who feel that quiet pull towards something more truthful, more embodied, more their own. It isn't an event that I'm actually rushing or loudly promoting at all. It's being built really, really slowly with a great deal of care and deep respect for the women in midlife whom it's meant to serve. So, if your body leaned in at any point during our conversation today, if something resonated beyond the words we've shared, just know that there will be a place to gather. So for now, stay connected, follow, share, give us your reviews so more women can find us. And when the timing is right, we will absolutely share more. It is time to thrive after 45. Thank you again, Heidi, for being here.
Thanks for having me.